Welcome to the Bright Ideas Podcast.
The next thing you've got to do, and I kind of got lucky here, but the next thing to do is to really understand who it is you're looking for and then go find that person, right? Rarely is that person going to just, they're not knocking on your door being like, hey, I think you got a company to scale. I might be helpful. Like even us, it didn't happen like that. Javon was a client of ours, but I had to bring this up to him and I had to vet him and explain it to him and all that kind of stuff. And then honestly, truly, a lot of founders have this, like I just talked to a guy 2 days ago, a good friend of mine, who's in the same position. He called me up and asked me advice about this. And he's like, he still had the assumption that like the CEO role at his company was sexy and people should be lining up to take it. And I said, dude, let me ask you a question. Like, describe the person you want to run this. And he described a badass CEO. And I said, how many options do you think that guy has for jobs? And he said, oh, dude, endless. This guy could get almost any job anywhere. And I said, well, why the hell is he going to work for you? And he's like, oh, man. Like, if you don't step out and look at it from someone else's perspective, it's so easy to get lost in all the things that are good about it or why you think they should like it or what's all that. But you've got to look at it from their perspective. This person is a badass and they have a million options. Why are they going to take yours? Right? And so it's sales. You've got to get into a sales role once you find the person. Because unless you're running like Apple, right, you're not going to have badasses knocking down your door begging you for that job. Because it's a hard job, even if you pay them a lot, and even if they get equity and they get all the benefits of leadership, it's still a really, really hard job. And chances are you're, as the founder and probably the person who owns the majority of the company, you're going to make the most money. So why is someone going to come kill themselves for you? Right? So you got to have like a really good company or a good opportunity, and you've got to be able to sell the hell out of it to someone who has 50 other things they could do. And if you don't know why they're going to come, like what the argument is, they're not coming.
So did you hire, what was his first name again? Javon, is that what you said?
Javon.
Javon. Yeah. You were at $1.5 million in revenue when you hired them? Yeah,
but $1.5 million too. Yeah.
Okay. So first question that comes to mind, the pragmatic side of me, and I want to come back to what you just said, but the pragmatic side of me says, well, at $1.5 million, you're not throwing off that much EBITDA. How can you afford this?
I know exactly what you're going to ask. How the hell did you get that guy?
How can you afford someone unless you're going to give them such a huge chunk of the pie because they're already rich or whatever? So
the arrogant answer is I am that good of a salesperson. and that's not untrue. I actually am an amazing salesperson. When I believe in something and I'm behind it, there's no better salesman, right? That's only part of the story. The other part of the story is, I painted an amazing picture. I laid out an incredible vision that he really believed in and bought into and really wanted to be a part of. So I told the story where he was the hero and he was Luke Skywalker of this company, and I was the Obi-Wan or the Yoda, whatever. And so he really wanted that. And so that was a big opportunity because he'd been president of another company, but not really the CEO. And he was the one who scaled that, but the founder took all the credit. And so I was over here with a better company, better opportunity with all this growth in front of us saying, I'll step aside for you. I'll let you be the head and I'll let you get the credit. Right. And so that was very appealing to him. And then also, he got a good equity chunk. Right. It actually started about 10% with an option to buy 5 more. And he so outperformed that deal that he now owns the same amount that I do. We're both 37.5. And then my other co-founder is 25. And so which is fine because he's done so good. I mean, we're literally we're well over 50 million in sales now. So like he's so outperformed any deal. Like I would much rather have a small piece of a huge pie than a big piece of
yeah, 37%
pie, right?
of 50 million is better than 100% of 9 million.
Right. Hell yeah. And so, so there's that, right? And then also like what he really wanted, I got to know him really well. And I got to understand who he was and what did he really want from life. And I realized what he wanted from life, my company that I started, Zach and I started, could give it to him. And I could help him along that path get the things he really wanted. And so I sold him not just the vision of the company, but a vision of his life that he wanted, right? Like he wanted to write a memoir and tell his story. And he wanted to be be not famous, but he wanted to get recognition for the things he'd done. Yeah. And he was like, I'd already done that for myself. And I'm like, I can do that for you. Cause I can easily show you how to do this. This is what this company does. We can really help you with that. And it was very appealing to him, because like every other opportunity he was looking at was more money than us. We were the lowest paid opportunity, but all those others were just money, right? Yeah, there was a huge private equity firm that offered him a lot of money to run a software company. But if he did that, he wouldn't be the star. It'd be the private equity firm, right? And it would just be money. He'd be a mercenary. But with us, he's the hero. He's the king, And so like that was very appealing to him. And so here we are.
So the takeaway from that is that this particular individual has a value system where money isn't necessarily his number one value. Recognition, public recognition is a big, big value. How did you figure that out with certainty before you hired him? So that, because there's this, people will come in and they'll tell you one thing, but then their actions, which speak louder than words, will tell you something entirely different after the fact. And then you have a bad hire on your hands because you have a misalignment. How do you avoid that in this, or how did you avoid that?
Yeah. So, what we did, so I brought Javon on as an advisor to my company first. And so he was in a couple executive meetings and dude, he just ran the meetings and he just took them over, but in a way that was so natural and like, oh, of course he should be running this. He knows way better than me, what we're doing. And so so we worked together for a while. Right. And then there's two other big things we did. One was I tested him in terms of honesty, right? So there's a couple ways to do that. One is that I shared a lot of stuff about me and my life, like private, personal, difficult things that aren't easy to share. But, once I got to know him, not like the first time I met him, it wasn't like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm going to overshare right now. It was appropriate, right? Yeah. Right? But I wanted to see how much he shared back. Because I could tell there was stuff he wanted to say or explore. But if someone gets the opportunity in a vulnerable, appropriate situation and doesn't share back, that tells you something about them. But then the other big thing you can really do, if you want to get to know someone, go travel with them. Right. And so I know it maybe is hard in the COVID era, but this was years ago, back when people could get on planes without being weirdos. And I forget where we went or what we did, but it was like just a tiny short trip. Because when you go travel with someone, they can't hide who they are.
I always get drunk with somebody. There's no way to hide.
He doesn't. Yeah, it's true. He doesn't drink though.
Oh well, that's not going to work then.
It would work.
All right. So now myself and some people who are listening to this are thinking, I love this idea. Maybe I'm not ready yet, but I need to get me and my company ready so that at some point in the next 12, 18, 24 months, I can go out and find myself a CEO so that I can take a step back and be the innovator or the chairman or just a shareholder or whatever. What do you need to be doing? And hell, use me as a guinea pig if you want to, but what do I need to be doing in my software company now so that when I get to a couple $1 million a year in revenue that I can go out and do mine and find my guy? Assuming that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So I would start right now thinking first off about what type of person you need and who you need to run the company. What skills do they need? Create an avatar, just like you would in marketing. Mm-hmm. Who is the avatar CEO, right? Then I would start really thinking about how you're going to sell that person, right? Like why are they going to want this? Like this role. And so have those arguments ready, know what the counter arguments are, what the weak spots are, admit them to the person, and then explain why, like, hey, listen, yeah, we've got these things that are challenges, but if you're the person you say you are, you should be excited about them and you should be able to overcome them. And here's why, right? So you want like the obvious benefits, the counter arguments, and then the counters to the counters, right? Or why those are opportunities. And then once you have that, you have the avatar and you have the sales doc, then it's just a matter of prospecting. Think of it like sales, honestly, like sales. Build an avatar, build your persuasion and your sales points, and then start prospecting. So I would just start with the people you know, your network. Hey, look, I'm looking for this person for this role. Here's the reasons they are going to love it. Do you know anybody? And say, like, hey, if you bring me this person, I'm going to cut you a big ass check. And then go from there. You know, like from there, one of the best things about recruiters is that they usually work. They only work on commission. Mm-hmm. So it's like they only eat what they kill. So hire 3 of them or 4 of them, whatever. Let them all go out and see. They're going to be, if they get someone in who's great, who's a badass baller CEO, it might cost you $50,000 or $100,000, but that should be so worth it. If you have a multi-million-dollar software company and they're scaling it, then it should be honestly a pittance. Totally worth it.